Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kamande Esther. If you're new here and you got invited to come to Mondays with Kamande, karibu sana. Welcome. Welcome to this episode. Welcome to this home. Welcome to this kingdom. Here we just do life with God. We create and we talk about and we have conversations centered around the Word of God, doing life with God, having a personal relationship with the Holy Spirit. So if this is your first time and you really want to make this home, please subscribe, take a seat, grab a seat, just ask for your favorite beverage. And if this is not your first time, karibuni tena sana. Thank you for always coming back. Thank you for making this your home. Thank you for making this part of your an addition to your watch list. I'm really humbled and honored that you keep coming back over and over again, and you keep bringing more and more people to come and listen to us having a conversation. If you've watched or if you've not watched any other episode on my channel, this is part 2 of a series we're calling the Before I Do series, and this is a series, a relationship series. It's a thread of conversations that I want us to have, or that I'm hoping we can have as the body of Christ. Conversations around love, romantic relationships. How do you go, and how is the journey, and how should you walk the journey from being a single individual to being a single happy individual to being I almost said a double but being with someone, doing life with someone, and doing it happily and in such a wholesome way. So the journey before that, that's what we're talking about, and that's what the series is about. And in the previous episode, I introduced the series and I touched a bit on enjoying the first phase, if I can call it that, or the first step. Is it the first step, or is it the first phase, or is it the beginning of the journey? You know, the beginning of the before I do journey. Yo, that's a very wordy sentence. What I mean is, before you get to say I do, you begin life and you begin that journey as an individual. And in the previous episode, I touched on the singleness season, the singlehood. There's no other hood like the singlehood. And we talked about it, and I just mentioned a few things here and there. And I wanted to go in depth on it today. And I wanted to just ask you and I a few questions. And these are questions that will help us and will help you reflect if you're in a season where you're just by yourself and you're alone, not lonely, you're alone and you're single, or you're probably in the next phase of this journey where you're dating, you're courting, and you're in a relationship probably, but you're not yet married. You're in that, you've not yet crossed over to the after I do. That's a nice, we should do a series on that. After I do, what happens after I do, after saying I do. But now that we're in this other side of the I do, I want to ask us a few questions. And these are the questions that are going to form, or these questions form the basis of today's episode. And I won't be on your screens for long because these are questions that I have answers, personal answers to these questions, to just a few of these questions. If I had all of them, I think we wouldn't be here. But one of the questions I'd like to ask you and I is one, would you date yourself? And number 2, are you your own type? Are you your type? Like, would you say you're your type? You know how we have, you hear people saying, oh, he's not my type or she's not my type. Question is, are you your type? Would you say you're your own type? And number 3, if at all it was possible to, you know how we watch movies and people are recommending each other, or Dr. Cupid or Dr. Love shoots an arrow and then shoots an arrow on the guy and the lady, and then boy meets girl, and then they start a relationship and they live happily ever after. If that were possible, if it was possible to make a recommendation or write a recommendation about, or to your friend or to a friend in your life, would you recommend yourself as a partner to someone else? Would you recommend yourself as, would you champion or cheer? Would you confidently recommend yourself to someone like, oh, this is a nice person to date. This is a nice person to be in a relationship with. This and more questions have lingered in my mind. And the reason why is we're so focused on finding Mr. Right or Mrs. Right, but we never take time to ask ourselves, am I Mr. Right? Am I Mrs. Right? Why are we always focused on the other person? The other person, when you're like, almost said lighting. Yes, now the light of the Lord, we are just coming from Easter. So yes, we are the light of the world. Anyway, my point is, we're always writing lists and writing down the qualities that we want in our future partners or spouses. Like I'd want my husband to be tall, to be dark and handsome. First of all, those lists, they do not work, but they work in a way. But we'll get into that in another episode. But on today's episode, my question is, when you write down the list of qualities, when you write down the list of negotiables or non-negotiables when it comes to the person that you would hope and ideally want to settle down with, when was the last time you sat down and wrote down qualities about yourself that are, your strong points and your weak areas, like areas where you're strong, you're most strong in, or areas where you're weakest in. And if you've ever written that and you've looked and analyzed that list, would you be happy as attaching yourself with someone else, Or if you've never written down that list, first question is why? And second question is, would you want to do that? And when you write that, ask yourself, with what I can see about myself, am I ready? Or would I be comfortable as like allowing someone else to experience who I am? Would it be a good deal for the other person? Would they say they've gotten a good deal by getting you? And in this episode, or rather, when I think about being single and being in this season, I believe it's one of the greatest gift we have in this season is the gift of having to walk in this season alone with God, and you're taking time to do the work, the work within yourself, You're taking time it's the season where God gives you that flexibility and that it's not permission, I'm trying to say. You get that, you have that freedom, you have the time actually to do the work within you, to do the self-work within you. You have the time to reflect on who you are. You have the time to look at everything that you've gone through and everything and who you are in life and your character, and you look at who you are as a person. And then you're able to see areas that you need to develop, areas that you need to work on. Probably you're quick to, you just want to get married and you want to start dating and get married, but you have internal wounds. You have wounds, childhood trauma, parental wounds, wounds that you've accumulated over time in your adulthood, and you've suppressed all these issues. You've suppressed all these wounds, and you've not addressed them. You've not healed from them. And so what we're seeing is you're trying, or rather, you're quick to want to, get involved with someone else, but you have a lot of baggage and a lot of things that you need to work out and work on. And if you don't work on them, these are the things that are coming to affect and bite us later, or bite people later when it comes to relationships when they now deep in marriage. And one of the greatest pieces of advice I've ever received from my friends, my pastor, and every other person that I really honor and recognize in my life is that there are certain things that you cannot avoid. There are certain battles and certain stages of your life that you cannot avoid and run away from. And there are certain things that you cannot overlook, because these are the things that are going to come up in your marriage, or when you're dating and you're involved with someone else. People think that when you get married now, of course you will live happily ever after, because we are championing godly marriages and godly relationships. But there are parts of our human nature, or aspects of our human nature, that really come out and are really exposed when you get into marriage. And these are things that people have not addressed, or people did not address or take time to address when they were single and before they got into marriage. So you'll find you overlooked issues like anger, you overlooked issues like bitterness. Someone has really dealt and grown up with bitterness, with anger issues. Someone experienced a lot of abandonment when they were growing up, and so they've not addressed all these issues. They've not healed from this trauma. And you find that when they get into a relationship with someone, or when they get into marriage with someone, these are the things that come up. These issues come up to the surface in the marriage or in the relationship, and you start having issues with this other person, and relationships start. You start having strife, and you're having issues with your partner. And these are things that you could have addressed when you were a single person. And I think most of us need to not most of us, I think all of us need to sit down and just do some reflection and ask yourself, am I my type? And if I'm not my type, why am I not my type? Because there's an ideal partner that you have in mind. There's someone that you really know that if I get a person who has these qualities, I'm going to enjoy the gift of marriage. I'm going to enjoy the gift of, relationships, or falling in love with someone. But when you look at yourself and you start asking yourself, okay, the way I am with my character, would I be comfortable dating someone like me? Would I be comfortable being in a relationship with someone like myself? And you find most of the times you will identify things and bits and pieces of your character that are flawed, that are some of your areas of weaknesses that you'll start identifying are areas that you'll find will make you just think, oh wait, I need to work on this. I need to work on ABCD before I can get into a relationship. The reason I'm so passionate about doing the self-work before you get into a relationship is because, one, when it comes to godly relationship, what I understand as of now, remember, I'm not an expert. I'm not a relationship coach or expert, but from my own understanding and from my own experiences, I believe that when you're getting into a relationship, you owe it to yourself to be whole and to be healthy and healed, because you don't want to go and pass on wounds and pain and drama and baggage to this other person. For someone that you love, for someone that you will fall in love with, you just want them to experience a version of you that is wholesome and and healed and not inflict pain in their lives, and vice versa. You deserve someone who is whole and healed and not dealing, and not coming to pass on or subject you to issues that you had no business dealing with to begin with. That's one. Secondly, with God, this thing is generational. The Bible talks about God blessing and releasing blessings, generational blessings. So most of us are enjoying blessings that our great grandparents received from God. It trickles down to the fourth generation, and it keeps going and it keeps going and it keeps going. And so you can imagine when you're aligning yourself and getting involved with someone, God is not looking at that as just one person and another person just coming together. He's looking at it as, this is my son and my daughter coming together, and they're going to bring forth a generation of amazing kingdom children, and God's agenda through you and God's purpose through you as a couple is fulfilled, and it's passed on from generation to generation. And so when you're coming as an individual and you're coming together with someone else, if you've not taken the time to do the self-work, if you've not taken time to maximize on your single season, you've not taken time to enjoy the season where you're in right now, you will not have anything to pass on to your children that is positive or wholesome. You'll just pass on the same desperation, the same quick urge to just want to get married quickly. Those are the lessons that you're going to pass on to your children. And unfortunately, if you've not taken time to deal with the trauma and the pain and the wounds that probably are hidden inside of you, like in your heart, that is the same thing that you're going to just replicate in your children's lives. And I believe we owe our children and our children's children a healthy environment for them to grow up in. It would be so sad for your children to start seeking therapy years later to heal from pain and wounds that you have caused them. It has taken some of us years to heal from some of the wounds that we've experienced growing up as children, and we've just addressed them as adults right now. And so the pain that some of us have felt dealing with trauma and wounds and pain and hidden and suppressed brokenness is something that we wouldn't, and I wouldn't wish on my children. And because of that, I have a responsibility. I believe I have a responsibility, and we all have that responsibility to take time to do the self-work. Ask yourself, why am I the way I am? And why do I have this? What can I do to deal with the brokenness and the dysfunction that I have lived in, and how to get over it so that I can be a better parent to my children, and so that I can be a better partner to my, a better partner to my spouse, a better and a purposeful life partner. And once we get to this place where we are having these conversations with ourselves and having these honest conversations, because getting married is not just about, it's not only for the gram. And if you want to get married so that we can see that you've gotten married and you have a ring on your finger, you've got the diamonds, girl. If that's your goal, then you're actually just missing the point. Marriage is not just so that you can have nice pictures to post on your Instagram feed. Marriage is not about having a title, you're Mrs. So-and-so, or you're the husband to so-and-so. Marriage is not the ultimate goal. Yes, first of all. And I'm going to say it's not the ultimate goal in life. You are successful whether you are complete and successful, whether you get married or not. You are God's child, and success according to God is that you fulfilled your purpose here on earth. If that purpose involves you getting married, well and good. If it doesn't involve you, mean that you'll get married, or there's no plan in getting married in God's agenda for your life, again, it's still okay. And it doesn't mean that you won't go to heaven because you're not married. And now that that's out of the way, and we're clear on the whole ultimate goal of why we do what we do and why we exist, I still believe, and I think I'm saying this over and over again so that it can sink in. Marriage serves a purpose. With God, marriage is not just two people coming together and falling in love and just loving each other and doing life together. That's just a tip of the iceberg. It's like the dot on letter I of iceberg. With God, there's purpose to what he does. God, I keep saying that God is the most diligent businessman I've ever met. He has a way of, and the Bible says that he causes all things to work together for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. So if you've been called according to God's purpose, he's going to work out everything from your single season to your courtship and dating season to you getting married. Everything serves a purpose when it comes to God and when it comes to your life. And so I believe marriage is meant to serve a purpose. And we'll get to that in the coming episodes where we discuss about, when we talk about, where we'll talk about the purpose behind getting married, how you align your purpose to someone else's purpose, and how you know they're aligned, and we'll get into all of that. However, for today's episode, the highlight and the most important thing that I want us to reflect on is, have you taken time to look within and just consider who you are as a person? And do you actually know who you are? Because if you know who you are, if you take time to just identify and figure out, this is who I am as Kamande. When you get to that place where you're having these conversations with yourself and asking all these questions, and you're candid and honest and open with yourself, don't, not running away and not relying on someone else to tell you what to do and what to believe in, like really calling yourself for a meeting, kujiita kamkutano, and you sit down and you ask yourself, by the way, who am I? Who is Kevin? Who is Aching? Who is Wamboi? Who is Nekesa? I hope I have a subscriber called Nekesa. Nafula. I have a friend called Nafula. When you sit down to ask yourself, by the way, who am I? As Kamande Esther, who am I? What do I like? When someone is asking you what's your favorite color, what do you like take yourself, date yourself first of all. Like, take time to date yourself. Take time to spend time. Take time to spend time with yourself. Take yourself on quality dates. Sit down with yourself, spend some quality time with yourself, ask yourself questions like, who am I? What do I like? What do I like to do when I am alone? Who am I when I'm by myself? When I'm angry, how do I want to be handled? Or who am I when I'm angry? What is my limit when it comes to being angry? Because sometimes you'll go through situations in life or in your day, and you're so pissed off and you're so angry. Do you know your limits? Do you know, okay, when I am angry, I scream, or when I'm angry, I speak really hurtful words, Such things are things that you need to be aware and conscious about, because these are the things that are going to have an effect on your relationship with someone else, whether it's a romantic relationship or even your friends. Ask yourself questions like, okay, when I'm having a really tough day or when I'm really overwhelmed, what's my escape? What's my way of escape? For most people or other people, you find that your way of escape is what? When I was not born again, I think my way of escape was just alcohol. Ask yourself, okay, now that I'm born again, or if you're not born again, first of all, the Lord loves you, and please give your life to Christ. But ask yourself, okay, what is my way of escape? When I'm really stressed and really overwhelmed, how do I handle stress? How do I handle pressure? How do I handle low seasons in life? Am I the type who caves in, like hi, me? Are you the type that is open and vulnerable when going through situations? Again, not me. Are you the type that that wants to just disappear and run away and just go to a different town because of how stressed and frustrated life is for you at that particular time? You see, these are the things that you need to be aware of about yourself, because when you're aware about these things about yourself, then when you get into a relationship, then you're able to navigate it easily. Because when you feel overwhelmed and you start recoiling and you start going to your default way of escape, like, for instance, when I'm really overwhelmed, I just want to shut down, cave in, and sometimes it's not a button I switch on. It just happens automatically. It's a way my mind or my body or who I am, that's how I navigate such seasons. So because I am aware and conscious of that, whenever I'm in an overwhelming situation, and even in my friendships, I'm able to caution, or I'm able to talk to my friends and tell them, by the way, I'm sorry, I have noticed, I noticed that I'm that I'm caving in, or that I feel a bit distant. It's not intentional. I'm just going through this, and that, and I'll talk about it, or I need help, or I need you to be there for me. It's easier to ask for help when you're in such a season, but that wouldn't have been possible if I didn't know that that's how I deal with pressure, or that's how I deal with stress. And I'm bouncing it off back to you. When you're in a when you sit down and you ask yourself these questions, and you date yourself, and you find out, by the way, what's my favorite color? Is black my favorite color because people have told me I look good in black? Or is black my favorite color because of what black resembles and means to me? Maybe people tell you look good in green and yellow and orange, but you're more of a pink person. So these are the things that you get to find out and discover when you're in your season, when you sit down in that season as a single person, and you start asking yourself and having these candid conversations with yourself. You begin to see the areas of weakness that you need to work out. You see the areas of where your strengths. You begin to see your strengths. You know what you're good at as a person. You know who you are as a person. You know how probably you're really good at handling conflict. You're probably really good at bringing people together. You're a hospitable person. You begin to see and notice all these things about yourself. And this is the most amazing gift that you could ever give to yourself, and an amazing gift you could ever give to someone that that the person that you're going to end up with, because they will meet you after you've done all this, the self-work, and they won't have to, like, it won't be them trying to dig to find out who you are. You'll come as an open book for them. It will be easy to navigate relationships with them. Issues like how to handle finances. How do you handle your finances? Are you a spender? Are you someone who really is focused on saving more than spending? Are you the type that lives one day at a time? We only live once, so you make money, spend money, take vacations, all that. When people ask you what you like doing, and you're saying you like traveling, do you really like traveling, Kweli? Ama it's just because maybe you're in a career that involves travel, so you tend to believe that you enjoy traveling. Anyway, I'm giving you all these examples just to end at this particular point. And the point is, if you do not maximize the season that you're in right now, and if you do not take time to date yourself and figure yourself out and sort out who you are on the inside and who you are as a person, chances are you're going to be in a tricky situation when it comes to the person or when it comes to you getting into a relationship. And some of the things, like you and your desire to have children and desire to even get married, all these are things and questions that you'll be able to figure out once you really take time to sit and think through and and find out who you are. Because now when you find out who you are, you're able to determine and you're able to settle, and you get to know the kind of person that you want. There's no way you're going to know the kind of partner that you want if you don't know who you are. Because if you don't know who you are, how will you know what you want? But when you take time to be with yourself and be honest with yourself and find out, oh, by the way, I am an introvert. So what kind of partner do I want? Do I want an introverted partner? Do I want an extroverted partner? Do I want, I am probably, you think about how ambitious you are in your career, and you're like, do I want someone who's as ambitious as I am, or someone who's laid back? Do I want someone in business, or someone who is in a 9-to-5 kind of career? Do I want someone who's in a freelance career? What do I really want? Because you will find out who you are, and it's easier to tell the kind of partner that you want, right? Anyway, that is those are my 2 cents. That's my 3 cents. But it's always a joy to share my 2 cents with you, and it's always an amazing joy to hear back from you. So yeah, please let me know. Let me know if you know who you are. And number 2, please tell me, would you date yourself? That's the question. Would you date yourself? And are you your type? Right? And number 4, do you know the kind of partner that you want? And I'd love to hear back from you. I'd love to to see your responses. So please leave a comment with the answers. If this is your first time here, there's a lot on this channel that you can watch and enjoy with your friends, with your family. So please share these videos with anyone that you know that could relate to what we're talking about. And if this is not your first time, I will see you back here in my next episode. But until then, please like this video, share it with someone else, someone who needs a reminder that they need to date themselves and they need to maximize on the season that they're in. And subscribe. The subscribe button is just here. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in my next episode. Bye.